Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thanks so much for stopping by. Warzone is now into Season 4. Again, Cold War and Warzone now have the Season 4 update officially live. In this patch, the whole 1.38 update brings a lot to the game, including new weapons, a new battle pass, new map changes, and plenty of other adjustments and fixes as well. So as we break down everything that changed in the Season 4 update, if you enjoy the video at any point, let me know by dropping a like on it. And of course, if you're new to the channel, or if you happen to be a part of the 57% of viewers who haven't already subscribed, I am always covering everything going on in COD, whether it be news, intel, updates, or really anything else in between. So feel free to subscribe, that way you can always stay up to date. Also, my friends over at G Fuel have bumped code Immortal back up to 30% off for the time being, so if you want to grab anything from the G Fuel site, code Immortal has got you covered. Alright, so we have our Season 4 patch notes here. Of course, we got the cinematic trailer, the June 16th update. They initially start with the playlist. We've got Verdansk, BR, Resurgence, mini trios. Of course, as they sort of previewed in the roadmap, we are getting Resurgence on Verdansk now. Then we also have Plunder quads. They're removing blood money from Plunder, then also Resurgence duos for Rebirth. So we're not going to have either of those this week, and they are keeping Resurgence quads on Rebirth in case you want to play that instead of Verdansk. Now, we also have the Groundfall event. We talked about this one a bit before. It's basically like your basic start of the season event, just like the Rebirth event, just like the whole Hunt for Adler event. We'll have some new challenges to do in-game and some new rewards from that. So nothing too crazy there, just sort of a seasonal event celebration thingy like what we have every single season. Like I mentioned in the playlist, we've got Verdansk Resurgence Mini, so it's Resurgence on Verdansk. We got the battle pass, all the content, and that we'll have a separate video for that up on the channel, so stay tuned for that, or be sure to check out the channel for that one. Then we got the map changes. So there's a handful of things that ended up being updated here. We've got the red doors, which are the whole like fast travel system that we've sort of talked about in the past via some leaks. Downtown Tower is now under new management, so basically Nakatomi Plaza is no longer there. Instead, we have the Downtown Tower now, which is the same building, just sort of remodeled and remanaged, apparently, it would seem. We also have the hijacked Gulag now, so that'll be replacing the standoff Gulag. Very excited about that, and honestly, the lighting on it looks really, really good too, so I'm definitely excited to try and play that. You know, it seems weird I'm excited for a Gulag because that implies that I'm dying in game, so sort of a win-loss there, but hey, we got a new Gulag with hijacked now. We've got the new satellite crash points of interest. We got the one over by Farmland, which we saw in the trailer. We've got one at Block 18, so this one is closer to the one sleepy village near the salt mines. This lies another downed satellite. Its location leaves it open to operators parachuting down from the radar array. So this one's over by like the whole hotel area up by the military base, and in between like TV in that area over there. We also have one over by the ATC tower in that riverbed, and then we've got the Gora Bridge one as well towards downtown in the whole carnival area as well. They actually added, I'm reading these for the first time, by the way, as we're going through this. They added 120 hertz support for PlayStation 5. It does require HDMI 2.1, so you have to have a compatible monitor, but that's huge news. That's awesome. We also have all the new Pride calling cards as well, which Raven talked about on Twitter the other day. But that's a big update. Definitely didn't see that coming, and I literally just saw that for the first time. That's awesome. Console players definitely have a big update to look forward to with that now. Downed players who disconnect now provide kill credit and drop loot. This includes players who disconnect during a finishing move. So if you back out when you're down now, you're no longer, costing anyone a kill or anything. They're going to get credit for it. They're going to get the loot as well. You can't really troll with that anymore. The font size for challenges has been increased. Nothing too crazy there. They added the new calling cards for LGBTQIA and then all the Pride stuff. So definitely some really cool stuff there. Then we've also got the gameplay changes. We got the brand new dirt bike. This thing is fast. It can go a lot of different areas. It can ramp off of things, but it's also very, very weak. It's faster than all vehicles. It can drift at high speeds, but it's got very low health. It's the same as the ATV. You can have 2 operators, 1 driver and 1 passenger. Next to no room to stack operators atop it, so you can't like have the clown car sense like it could with the ATV, so none of that. And for the trophy system placement, you must stand atop the bike to place a trophy. It's not going to land on like one of the sides of it. It's going to have to be on top. They also adjusted the loot. The C58 and the MG82 are now in the loot pool. The combat bow kill streak is added to the loot pool, and the self-revive spawn rate has been reduced. Personally, I'm a fan of that. It seems like everybody has self off the rip, so that's definitely a good update in my opinion. The 1911 starter handgun now requires 3 hits to gain the bonus finisher damage instead of 2. This change will increase the number of melee hits needed for this weapon to down an enemy at 200 HP by 1, so you're going to have to melee more. Big update there. The snapshot grenade reveal duration has been increased from 1.25 seconds to 2 seconds there, so definitely more of a useful nade in that sense. And hit enemies are now also revealed to your squad. So honestly, snapshots, not a bad option anymore in my opinion. Cool update there for sure. Custom mods have been enabled for Cold War weapons. This will allow you to name and save up to 5 custom weapon builds as blueprints. So the whole gunsmith features that we have on the Modern Warfare weapons are now going to be available for Cold War weapons as well. Some thoughts on specialist tokens next. We want exciting items like the specialist token in Warzone. However, the ease and consistency of its acquisition was problematic. Ideally, drop locations are allowed to be chosen dynamically based on several factors like circle location, info route, and player preference. When we introduce an exclusive powerful item that can only be obtained at one location, it may have a warping effect on gameplay. It did. We'd also like to ensure that there is excitement surrounding opening caches or completing contracts no matter where you are on the map. In order to achieve that, we need to have the items that are exceedingly rare but do not have targeted methods of acquisition. We may see the specialist token again, perhaps sooner than you might think, but it'll be rebalanced in such a way that offers neither weapon perks nor drops on death. So it's actually a huge nerf to specialist whenever it's going to come back, and you're not going to be able to get it back if you die with it. So definitely some big changes coming to that whenever it ends up returning. We also have several bug fixes here. They fixed 5573's dev error that was primarily on console, but it was also related to the Carve 2 in a lot of situations as well. They updated challenges that referred to Quarry, and it's now going to be the Salt Mine. They fixed an issue where Down's player movement speed will remain at slowed after being partially revived by a teammate. They fixed an issue with the tac rifle Charlie, causing some operators to have their heads disappear when using tactical equipment. Never knew that was a thing. They fixed an issue where the gas closing in voiceover would play on infill and resurgence trios. They fixed an issue where scav contracts would sometimes spawn inside the bridge near a stadium. They fixed an issue where plunder contracts were not properly showing contract instructions or rewards. They fixed an issue where muzzles on the Farah 83 were misaligned. They fixed an issue where players could survive a finishing move if they had started using an ascender. They fixed an issue where pings on enemies would disappear and no audio would play. They fixed an issue with the lighting during the infill sequence on Rebirth. They fixed an issue in corners of one of the buildings on Rebirth that caused a sun glare effect when GPUs ran at high temps. And they fixed several collision map exploit issues on Rebirth as well. For various other updates, the friends list now has improved responsiveness. They added the ability to favorite up to 14 operators. They added the ability to select operators by favorites now too. They added the ability for players to preview skins from the customization menu, and they added the ability to allow players to play again with team, allowing them to stay connected to players who are not in their party. We've also got some weapon changes. We got the new LMG for Cold War Season 4. We got the new rifle, the C58. We have the nail gun, which is technically an SMG gun, which is kind of interesting. That'll be available via a challenge or a blueprint. The baseball bat is also here now. Then we're going to have the OTS-9 and the mace coming later on in the season. They also say in a future patch we'll be making sweeping balance changes to weapons. Let us take a moment to discuss the philosophy behind that decision. At a high level, Warzone is about engagements. The more time we allot to mechanical and strategic expression within engagements, the higher the skill ceiling and the longer our personal journey of mastery. We believe the frequency of those engagements and how we navigate them heavily contributes to the overall level of fun. We want to enable more escapes from impossible situations, moments of finesse, my favorite, epic outplays, and opportunities to flex exquisite marksmanship. Due to some weapons being far more lethal than others in their class, we feel a reduction in the efficiency of those outliers is necessary. We expect these changes will bring the average time to kill up to approximately 60 to 100 milliseconds more than what it is now. These changes will not only increase the overall capacity for skill expression, but should also introduce some weapons and a viability that have not had a chance to shine. We will begin by laying the groundwork for some upcoming balance overhaul with the following adjustments. So just previewing this before we get into it, a nerf to the AMAX, a buff to the Groza and the Scar and the XM4 and the AMP63 and the ballistic knife, a nerf to the Street Sweeper, a buff to the M82, multiple changes to the Swiss, a buff to the AUG from Modern Warfare, multiple changes to the Bullfrog, a buff to the KSP, a buff to the Milano, the Bison from Modern Warfare, then also a buff to the DMR. Hopefully that's not anything too crazy. We'll find out here momentarily. On the AMAX, the upper torso damage multiplier was decreased. That's a huge nerf because the chest multiplier was very dominant on the AMAX. That's why it was so good at a range. On the Groza, the minimum damage was increased from 18 to 23. Significant buff there. The upper torso damage and the lower torso damage multipliers were also increased, and the maximum range damage was decreased by 12%. On Assault Rifle Golf, so this is going to be the Scar, the neck damage multiplier was increased, and the upper torso damage was also increased. So the multiplier was increased as well. On the XM4, the neck damage multiplier was also increased. For the handguns, the AMP63 had its maximum damage increased a bit. The second damage range was also increased by 14.3%. The upper torso and the extremity damage multipliers were also increased a bit. The head damage multiplier was actually decreased though. For melees on the ballistic knife, I'm not sure who all is using this, but the projectile velocity was increased, so it's going to have less bullet drop now, and also a faster, travel time. The neck damage multiplier was increased, the upper torso damage multiplier was increased, and the movement speed was also increased as well. On the shotguns, the Street Sweeper, this is going to be an important nerf. The maximum damage range was reduced by 25%, almost a quarter reduction there. That's a big nerf. The second damage range was also decreased, the third damage range was decreased, and the move speed was also decreased by 1%. So that's going to be a lot less effective in all close range fights now, and especially when you're trying to use it in some like longer close range fights, if that makes any sense. On the snipers, for the M82, I believe this is, the velocity was increased, and the upper torso and lower torso multipliers were increased. On the Swiss, the base optic functionality was improved, and the base reticle was also updated, so that'll be changed up a little bit. On the AUG from Modern Warfare, the upper torso damage multiplier was increased, and the maximum damage range was also increased. I feel like that's actually going to be really important if you're running the 5.56 rounds on it as well. That could now be, honestly, meta shifting, in my opinion. We're going to have to wait and see in game just how good the AUG actually is. On the Bullfrog, the iron sight ADS position was adjusted, and these changes should allow for better ADS visibility. On the KSP, the range was increased by 16.6%, and the extremity multiplier was increased from 0.9 to 1. I don't see that being a huge buff. The KSP really is not the most ideal weapon. Burst weapons, especially a burst SMG, is kind of awkward, but it may swing it up a little bit. It might be a tad bit better now. Again, we're going to have to see just how well it performs. The Milano, they changed quite a bit. Maximum damage was increased. The minimum damage was also increased. The maximum damage range was increased. The upper torso, the lower torso, and the extremity damage multipliers were also all increased. The Milano now should be a lot more competitive in this meta, so it should be fun to try out that one. Then for SMG Echo on MW, that should be the Bison. The maximum damage range was increased, and the multiplier for the extremity was also increased a little bit as well. I still think the Bullfrog is going to be better though. Then in the TAC rifles, the recoil magnitude was decreased on the DMR. Okay, so I don't think that's going to break the DMR again. That should just make it a tad bit easier to land shots with. But overall, I mean, its damage, it's great, but I don't think it's going to be back to a DMR meta anytime soon. They also changed several attachments here by the looks of it for barrels on the Combat Recon Snipers. So this goes for all the snipers that have the Combat Recon. On the Pellington, the velocity was increased. On the M82, the velocity was increased. On the K31, the velocity was increased. Same deal on the Tundra and also the ZRG. So using the Combat Recon is now going to help out with the velocity even more. So that and like the Rap Suppressor, going to give you some good velocity stats. For the Ranger barrel on all assault rifles, it now increases the velocity by 50%. It also increases the recoil control by 15%, and it increases the hip spread by 20%. The takedown barrel on all rifles increases the effective damage range, the horizontal recoil control, and also the hip spread more now. The reinforced heavy and the match grade barrels on all assault rifles and LMGs now actually increase the bullet velocity, the effective damage range, the horizontal and the vertical control. However, they decrease the ADS move speed, the sprint speed, and the ADS speed all a little bit, and they actually increase the hip spread as well. And then the Task Force and Spetsnaz RPK and the mil-spec barrels on all assault rifles and LMGs now increase the velocity, the damage range, the horizontal and vertical control, and the hip spread, but they decrease the ADS move speed, the sprint speed, and the ADS speed. So quite a few changes to barrels. I anticipate a handful of setups are going to be changing because of this update. Then for the optics, most Cold War reticles have been updated. The 3x optic had its position shifted, same deal with the 4x. Then for the underbarrels, the bruiser grip on snipers actually now increases the aiming stability a bit more. For operator changes, Rose's Rook skin has received material updates to increase visibility, so hopefully now it'll be easier to see Rose skins. That's an update that we've needed for quite some time. The previous nerf to Rose did not do it, so hopefully this one does. Of course, we also have the new operator of Jackal, then Sala and Weaver are coming in season. And the download size, PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, 11 gigs, Xbox 11.2, PC 12.3 for Warzone only, 13.5 for Warzone and Modern Warfare. So overall, a pretty productive update, I would say. We got map changes. We got some pretty big weapon tuning, a lot of attachment tuning, big changes all around. We've got 120 hertz on PlayStation 5 now. Hopefully an FOV slider will be coming soon. Like I said, overall, pretty solid, I would say. Definitely very productive. A lot of cool changes. I'm eager to jump in, test out gameplay, see what weapons are really feeling a lot better now. Maybe some feel a lot worse, and what setups are going to be the go-tos as well. We'll be covering all that stuff in videos in the coming days. The new meta, the new best loadouts, all that stuff. So be sure you're subscribed for that. But that's everything that changed in the Season 4 update. Lots of cool stuff here. If you guys enjoyed the video, let me know by dropping a like on it. And of course, if you're new to the channel and you want to stay up to date with everything going on in COD, all the updates, all the latest news, the best tips, the best loadouts, it's all right here. So feel free to subscribe. That way you'll always know whenever I post a new video. Once again, and as always, thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.